What's going on, YouTube? Today I'm going to be covering how to do a catch can setup on your P2 Volvo. This mostly applies to basically the S60, the V70, and the XC70. Wouldn't really apply to the XC90 unless you have the 2.5T, which most people don't have. But basically, this applies to any of the turbo 5-cylinder engines that are gas. This won't apply for diesels because I know those are set up kind of different. All right, so here we are in my engine bay of my 2002 Volvo s60 T5, and basically I'm going to go over my setup, what I've done on this car. I also did it on my black car back in the day. The only thing that I messed up on when I did the PCV was not upgrading that banjo bolt to the new part number. So I'm gonna cover all that stuff. So basically, the way I always do my catch can setups on these engines, and it works out fine for me, I haven't had any issues, was what I do is, this will also save you some money. When I do my PCV setup, I will get everything brand new with the exception of this crossover coolant pipe. That's what this originally was. That, you know, that pipe that basically has the foam padding that goes around it. I do not replace that. And I'd also like to specify and mention that this will be a little bit different for facelift cars, because that crossover pipe is different. I've never owned a facelift car engine and never messed with the PCV system on that, but I have noticed that it is different. I've replaced the PCV system on an R before, but I just did a standard replacement. I didn't do a custom or setup like this for a catch can. But anyway, this pipe will normally be wrapped in foam with the crankcase pipe alongside it. The two pipes, which is what this is here now, they'll be together like real close, and they'll be wrapped in foam, and then, you know, they'll both go to the back of the engine. You got the coolant that goes into that little spot right there on the head, and then, you know, the crankcase pipe will go to the back and plug into the intake. Well, what I always do is I get all new hoses, you know, top, charcoal box, you know, the hoses that connect to the intake manifold, all that, but I don't replace this one. And what I do is I cut all that foam that's on it off, and then I take the original crankcase pipe that's right here, and I pull it out, the original OEM one. I pull it out of that rubber, like 90-degree hose that connects to the top of the charcoal box. And then what I do is I get a OEM Volvo dipstick, which these are easy to get. I just pulled off a junkyard car, or if I had it from an old engine or something, I get these. And then what I do is I cut it right here. I mean, you can use an angle grinder. I cut it right here, so the bracket is cut off and this top part that flares out. And then I cut the bottom where it also flares and has an O-ring to plug into the block. And basically you're left with this pipe here. I push that pipe into that 90-degree rubber hose that's on the top of the charcoal box. Then you're left with your crankcase vent hose ending here. And this works better because this hose is much bigger than the OEM hose that comes on the pre-facelift cars. And if you've ever cut open one of those pipes, you'll notice it starts out big, then it flares down and it gets really skinny and small. And there really isn't a lot of space for air and oil to travel through, and it's very easy for it to get clogged up. So this is an upgrade because not only is the hose much bigger and round and has plenty of room for air and oil to flow through, but it stops here, right? you'll still have your coolant pipe that'll go back into the head. It stops here, then you can run a hose from this, and then you can run it into your catch can, and then you could take the other hose from your catch can, because you don't want to vent this to atmosphere unless you're changing your car over to speed density. So make sure it's a closed loop system. Then you take your other hose and run this into your intake, which this is my other pipe. I gotta get a hose that's a little bit longer. And that's basically how you do it. If you're converting your car over to speed density, then you can just run a hose into it and vent it to atmosphere. But if you're not, you're gonna end up getting codes for your car running lean, or even the evap system, because it's not supposed to be venting the atmosphere. So that's basically how you do it. Just cut that foam off, remove the original crankcase pipe, you know, get your oil dipstick, cut the ends off, plug it in, run a hose from there to your catch can, and then that hose into your intake.